Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. And to interact with us, we love seeing you live every Thursday night in Facebook and YouTube land. Chats are always fun. Hello and good evening to all those live. And remember, your chats may show up in the show. If you can't catch us live, catch us in the replay or in your favorite podcasting app. You know me, I'm John Ruark, past master of the Patriot Lodge, number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. And next up for his introduction tonight, Robert Johnson. Hello and good evening.
Cheers, cheers.
Salud.
Yeah. Robert Johnson, past master Waukegan 78, past master of Space Novum 1183, secretary of all things, and of course the host of the Whence Came You podcast. Good to be here with some select gents this evening.
Ooh. Well, have I got a select gent for you? That's right. Returning for his second time? I don't know. We've returning guest of the show, Worshipful, Darin Lahners. How do I pronounce your last name? I keep screwing it up.
You got it right, Lahners.
Okay, Lahners. Yeah,
hello.
How are you?
Hello. I'm well. Thanks for inviting me on.
It's great. Different background tonight.
Yeah, I'm not at the Haunted Lodge at St. Joe. I am here in my office.
Very cool. Very cool.
I didn't know you were at St. Joe last time.
Yeah. I was
nice.
I was at my secretary desk there at St. Joe last episode.
I forgot. Yeah, you're secretary now, huh?
I am secretary there and in Homer for.
So you are, if you're secretary of one lodge, you are an honorary member of the Dead Secretary Society.
I guess so.
Does it have a dues card and a lapel pin?
It has a button.
A button.
Yeah,
nice.
That's right.
Awesome.
But that's all in the hush hush. We can't really talk about
keep that on the down low.
The Dead Secretary Society. So
this was the Society with Secrets until this week.
Just now.
Until just now. If you want to support the show, head over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable. We appreciate you all. And as an extra bonus thing, our current patrons will be randomly selected in our upcoming Secret Santa to get a little extra bonus gift. One lucky winner will get a bonus gift from all the guests, or all the hosts of the roundtable, and maybe a little extra love. We'll see. So
it's a lot of fun because we get to kind of spoil one person. So also they should know, if you're a patron of the show in any tier, keep an eye out in your mail. You should be getting a little something from us in the mailbox. So
yeah,
just a little extra thanks to you guys. Appreciate you.
A little extra love. Very cool. Let's shift over and talk about TMR's Secret Santa. That's right. If you head over to tinyurl.com/TMRGift25, that's all lowercase TMRGIFT 25. Come join Elfster for our 6th annual holiday gift exchange. You can see a whole bunch of good things that you can share with brothers from around the world, well, around the U.S. for shipping's sake. Here's the catch. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this in the replay, sorry about your luck. Tomorrow, December 12th, will be the drawing for a random selection of one other brother that you could be a Secret Santa for. So get in there, sign up, update your wish list, and yeah, it'll be fun. I always enjoy this. It's on your honor, so be super cool to whoever you get.
Yeah, it's like if you guys remember, participating in something similar when you were little, right? And then you're like the one person who you went all out, you're all excited, and then the person who got you just didn't come through or whatever, and the teacher's like, "It's cool. Here's
I got a rock.
Here's the pencils. Hey, it's Jason.
Thanks for the pencils.
Hi.
I'll cherish them. Jason Richards.
Hi.
Hello and good evening. What's the one thing you're wishing for on your Secret Santa wish list?
Actually, my most wished for, I have two. So the first one is a donation to the Feline Foundation of Greater Washington in my name. That's the cat rescue where we've gotten all three of our kitties. And another is a donation to the Trevor Project in my name as well.
Well, there
That's
you go.
tight. Nice.
Your two plus one things for you, but not for you.
We're lucky enough to have a lot of stuff, and so like I'd rather someone do a little bit of good, and kind of spend that money where it can really help some good folks.
Well, now I feel bad. I have to go edit my list. So thanks for that.
Well, you know.
Thanks for the guilt trip there.
We're all saints.
I'm not judging you.
I'm
I
judging.
don't care what you do.
I'm judging.
I'm judging you.
As you should. As you should.
John's over here like, yeah, could you give me a subscription to these OnlyFans?
I didn't know I could get
They're
a
all
guest pass.
comedians. It's okay. They're comedians.
Yes.
OnlyFans isn't
comedic
just
content.
for, that kind of stuff.
But you know what? You know what Jason does have on his list as well? Lower is a tarot card or a set of tarot cards or tarot decks that one would actually show up in the tarot card of the week, possibly in the future.
Tarot card of the week.
Woo.
Am I supposed to have a
Jazz
deck on?
I got you covered. I'm going back to my old favorite.
There we go. That was a great card for tonight.
The Knight of Swords. Ouch. Hopefully it's get a little more
Crippling
positive
anxiety.
one for what to expect when you're expecting. I'm going back to the 8-bit tarot. Probably my first
Who gave
deck.
you that deck?
I think some handsome gentleman by the name
Yeah.
of Jason Richards. And so
Yeah.
tonight's card is, bam, Temperance. Look
Ooh.
at that. That's a good one. We haven't had Temperance in a while. Let's go see what that looks like.
I mean, speak
Focus.
for yourself.
Yeah, look at that. How pretty
That's
that is.
pretty sweet.
And
I
it's
love
8-bit
that
glory.
8-bit deck, man. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So what's Temperance all about?
Now, you know, temper.
Balance.
Yeah, moderation, patience, purpose, all those things.
I should teach that in Lodge.
It's one of the 4 cardinal virtues.
Yeah, fun fact.
Why they named virtues after birds is beyond me, but you know what?
Well, fun fact for listeners or maybe people who wanted to come to Esotericon but never did, our temperance card was represented by one P.D. Newman. So if you know, you know.
Who I immediately think of when I think of Temperance.
For sure.
I'll drink to that.
I love you, Danny.
So
You're the man, dog.
how can we
You're
be
the
more
man
temperate?
now, dog.
How can we temper our expectations when we're about to get into the hot seat of
Ooh.
Worshipful Master? So following up from last week, we had a good early chat with Darin's first blog post about the emotional aspect, the build-up, the anticipation of sitting in the East. And we ended the episode with a little cliffhanger of his 5 easy, simple to follow rules on what to do about it. So let's recap those. Darin, you want to roll off those 5 and then we can dive deep?
Sure. The first was relax and have fun. You're not going to be perfect, but you'll be okay. Number 2, communicate and be open to listening, exchange ideas with your lodge. Number 3, believe in yourself. Your brothers believe in you. Number 4, have a plan. A mission statement's a good way to set out your goals in a few sentences. And number 5, most importantly, invoke the blessing of Deity always before undertaking any task as a worshipful master.
Just that easy.
It's kind of like if Ron Popeil wrote about Mason. I'm just kidding. Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget
Set
it.
it and forget it.
Nice.
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting ones that you list there, and I'm interested to see what your thoughts are when you say relax and have fun, and then you go on to say you won't be perfect, right? But you'll get it done.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, where does that square up when we're talking about exceptional lodge experiences and things? What are your thoughts? Like, how do you reconcile those two things? Because
I want it to be perfect. Yeah.
A lot of times you have this idea that you have to be perfect, and your brothers are always like, it's cool, we're going to help you out, you're going to get through it, it's going to be fine, buddy. And it really is. But also, how do you stop yourself from getting, like, undercutting the expectation of at least trying to be awesome? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to reconcile those two things.
Mm-hmm. So I think, honestly, I think a lot of the step in retrospect was, I'll be quite frank, was born out of some of my being naive. And, I talk about in the article, a lot of things quickly went off the rails for me as worshipful master.
No.
We had, I know,
Never happens.
Never ever happens. So we had a building repair that got way out of hand. We had to basically replace a contractor with another contractor, and we had to absorb several thousands of dollars worth of repairs between the two contractors because the first contractor basically screwed the job up. We had brothers that didn't want to sue the first contractor because it was basically a contractor that one of the brothers knew personally. It was really a mess. On top of it, I had a junior warden who basically stepped down halfway through his term because he had gotten accepted into a program through his church that allowed him to continue his education, which was great for him, and I'm not blaming him. The brother's since now passed, and he was just the nicest.
What happens when you step out of the line?
Exactly. Yeah. No.
Not only are you forgotten,
right, but it just as an aside, the guy was the nicest dude. Just very nice guy.
Okay.
I had known him prior to actually, I was involved with kind of getting him back into the lodge. He was heavily involved in Boy Scouts and worked in the scout shop at our local council. And I'd known that he was a member of St. Joe Lodge. And I just remember one day being in there for getting something for my son. I was a scout leader, and just kind of talking to him and being like, why don't you come back to Lodge and check us out? We've done a lot of stuff. And so he did, and started to rejoin the line, and was moving up and on his way to be master, and just had to step out. So, I'm
waiting to where the fun comes in.
Yeah, well,
sounds like quite a ride you've been on.
It was a ride, and there was fun, and I'll get to that here in a minute. But
I don't know. You didn't start a civil war in your lodge over a past master's picture, so like.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who would
Okay,
do
so
that.
Sorry, Jason. I didn't
This
live up
is-
to your lofty standards, but um,
I alienated a lot of people in 2017.
but we did. There were activities that I did try to do. We did have a trunk or treat. I tried to have movie nights. I did try to have fun, but with various degrees of success. So, to the point, things weren't perfect. They weren't, but yeah, I ended up okay. I learned lessons from it, and we're going to talk about those. But was I relaxed? I tried to be. In retrospect, I was probably a nervous mess throughout that time. I don't know that I relaxed a lot. And I say that in the article itself. I don't feel like I had time to relax or have fun during that term,
yeah, I think
because it was just chaos after chaos and fighting fire after fighting fire. And I think that's probably, like I said, I think when I first, obviously, when we discussed this last week, when I wrote the article going into the East, it was, and I reading it now, I see the reflection of how kind of I had the maybe rose-colored glasses on.
and I think we all have that. Like when you talked about, like I couldn't have fun. I think about the question: is it possible to have fun as a leader, or is that an unrealistic expectation?
Ooh, yeah.
I think you
hold
I think
yourself
you-
to an even higher standard, right? So,
Mhm.
Interesting.
I think you have fun through the eyes of your brethren.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Try to, like, certain brethren who are like in the Get It Club and who like really understand what you're
it's
trying
like
to do.
watching somebody open presents that you got, like Christmas morning or a holiday or a birthday. You can sit back and you see them open it and how much they enjoy it, and you sort of have a sense of enjoyment knowing they enjoyed this thing that you put together. So I think you can have that intrinsic sort of satisfaction.
Acacia got a lot of coal.
So yeah, I mean, related to that, just when you are in charge, you do have a sense of, even if some people do it better than others, a sense of perfectionism, right? Where you get a plan together, you're told to get a plan together, you have to meet these certain expectations through your Grand Lodge and your district and tradition and all that. And so, you are automatically held to a higher standard based on your brethren. And then if you're really taking it seriously, you're holding yourself at an even higher standard than that. So, like, when does perfectionism get in the way of relaxing and having fun, right?
Well, and I don't think anyone who hasn't been in that seat before truly understands the magnitude of the job. Like, it's very easily like a second full-time job.
Yep.
Can be.
Absolutely. So were there any... Oh, go ahead, Darin.
I was going to say, and then couple that, I'm naturally, I'm a Libra, and I'm a stereotypical Libra because I'm always trying to please everyone and keep the scales balanced. I don't want to upset anyone, and I feel, like out of whack if I have offended anyone. I always, want everything to be copacetic around me. So when it's not, and especially in Worshipful Master, you soon realize that no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to please all the brethren of your lodge. And
That's
you have to learn that
symbolically
lesson pretty quickly.
That's the symbolic job of the Worshipful Master, essentially. I mean, you're there, you can see the whole lodge. Symbolically, you see the wardens. The whole thing revolves around you getting the input and trying to balance the scales, just like you said. And I think that is a really unique and important duty that I think maybe people aren't necessarily prepared for, especially considering that they often go into the East, expect, if they've been told your brothers will help you through your journey in the Oriental Chair. Okay, great. And you get there and you have a guy who maybe just has no sort of motivation, doesn't know what to do aside from maybe open and close the lodge. This is where we run into some real problems. So, I mean, the idea that you're talking about balancing the lodge and the expectations of brothers and trying to make everybody happy, I mean, it is a heavy weight to bear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, let's kind of segue into, point 2, which is, communication, being open and listening, because I think it kind of, what I talk about is exactly that it's one of the other struggles I had was with, being down already 2 officers. We struggled to make quorum every meeting. Luckily, we were able to make that quorum, but on top of it, we would have members that were sporadically attending meetings, and then I talk about an example where we would have members that were occasionally showing up for meetings, and then they would basically question items that we had voted on in meetings previously, like months ago. And there was one situation where we had decided on a scholarship winner, and some member had come and hadn't been present at previous meetings, and then was questioning the choice of the scholarship winner that we had voted on. And I talk about in my article that I lost my temper and I basically blew up on the guy. And I just basically
all you needed to do was
but honestly, sometimes that I'll be quite frank, supposedly the gavel's supposed to set guys down, but
it doesn't.
Oftentimes it does not. So
yeah, look at Congress.
You can gavel all you want, but if a guy's sitting there yelling at you, you're going to have to yell back. And that's the, we like to think, oh, everybody's going to follow the rules of procedure. Well, it's in reality, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. If the guy's going to want to be heard, sometimes you're going to have to hear him, and then he's going to have to hear you back. So that's just going to have to be how it happens. And I told him quite frankly, if you were here for all the meetings when we discussed and voted on this, then you could have brought up your objections now, but it's already been validated on. And quite frankly, the decision's already been made. So too bad, so sad.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you have things like that, when we are supposed to have this dynamic, everybody's on a level, but when you have challenges to the leadership dynamic itself, because of things like a lack of quorum, it's almost as if, I mean, if they were being truly reflective, they would know that what they're doing is unmasonic. I mean, you're challenging the will of the lodge at that point.
So after that, like, what changed as a result of trying to be more communicative and be open to listening? What did that teach you, and then what did you do about it to hopefully improve that in the future?
Well, I think what it taught me was basically, I think I learned the hard way that up until that point, let me put it this way, John. I think a lot of my being naive kind of maybe died in that moment. It was probably the first time. It was probably the first time as a leader that I had to face something like that, where I had to, maybe show a backbone, if you will. I was so used to being a leader at work where I would have upper management that would back me up on things like this nature. And when you're in a lodge, what are you going to do? Hold on while I call the DGM or Grandmaster to back me up. That's not going to happen. So
Right.
you would basically have to make the decision and stick by your guns and show the lodge that you are the master and that you're in charge, and essentially you were elected to make decisions just like this. So ultimately, I think what it taught me was that this is why you elected me. Sometimes I have to make a decision that some members are not going to like, but ultimately I have to make the decision for the good of the lodge and for the harmony of the lodge. And in this particular case, again, the lodge had balloted on this. We had made the decision, the scholarship winner, and that was the person that we were going with because that was the will and consent of the lodge.
Right.
So I can't just have a member. I can't have the minority changing the majority's desire. It just can't happen that way. So that is what happened. So I think that's at that point, in some aspects, I think a little bit of maybe my innocence as a Mason died maybe that day, and I was replaced with a grumpy, that spirit of the grumpy past master came and possessed me. I don't know, but ultimately, yeah, I think I learned the lesson that you can't always please everyone, and sometimes you're going to have to be the bad guy in somebody's eyes, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. So what would a healthy communication culture look like in a lodge?
A healthy communication culture, would have all of the members showing up to voice their opinions. There would be an agenda, which I was sending agendas out. So this was on the agenda to vote for the scholarship winner. If this particular person had another idea in mind or another person in mind for the scholarship, they had ample opportunity to attend the meeting and to voice their opinion. I mean, it's not like it was a surprise. It's not like it was an ambush. It's not like we were trying to push a candidate through without their knowledge. There was nothing subversive about the vote. It was just that this particular person, for whatever reason, did not like this particular scholarship winner. And I didn't explore it further. I didn't ask why. Because honestly, at that point, again, that the winner had already been decided. Right?
Yeah.
So what?
It's OBE.
Right? Yeah.
Overcome by events.
Yeah. It was already done. It was already decided. Yeah. So again, just, too bad, so sad.
Around communication, I heard a quote like years ago, talking about like corporate communications and just like how do you send messaging out. And it basically said, when you are sick of communicating it, that's about the time that people are starting to listen, right? So whether it's like you say it 7 times or you're done talking about it, or you've sent it by email, you've sent it by voice, you sent it by text, you sent it by, in lodge meetings, you can never over communicate, because there's always, everyone has a filter and they're going to either drown you out, interpret it differently, right? So having that communication culture is critically important. Absolutely, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think this segues into the next point. Believe in yourself. Your brothers believe in you.
Even Jason.
Even Jason.
He believes in you too.
Wait, even your brothers believe in Jason, or even Jason believes in you?
Well, I hope Jason believes in me. The other brothers, let's be honest. I would rather you 3 believe in me than the other brothers. So, but In this particular case, I talk about how, the year before when I was senior warden, our lodge had won the Grandmaster's Award of Excellence. And not only had we won it, we received second place in the state for lodges under 80 members. So it was, we had done a fantastic job. And I really wanted to try to, hold up that standard. And we did not. We did not hold up that standard.
Well,
Again,
it's hard to when you can barely open, right?
Right, absolutely. And
Good point.
I say for whatever reason, very few members were willing or able to make the events that were needed to get points to go towards the award of excellence. And so I talk about how it got to the point where I ended up starting to sign in as a member of Homer so that they were getting the points so they could at least get the award, because I knew what
gets measured gets done.
I know that St. Joe was not
game the system until
I knew that St. Joe was not going to get the award as master. I saw the writing on the wall pretty early. So at least I was going to try to get one of the lodges I belonged to those points for membership.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that there was not a lot of desire by the membership to attend these activities. I was attending them, some other brothers as well, but not the amount of members that we needed to get the points towards the award. So yeah, I believed in myself. Did my brothers believe in me? Some of them did. Maybe they believed in me, but did they put in the effort in to get the award?
Yeah, so there's the dichotomy there.
What is that? Is that believing in me and in my mission?
I showing
guess,
up.
Is showing up belief? I don't know.
Right.
I that makes me wonder, right? I wonder at the point when you do something and you plan something out, you put some effort into it. I guess it takes a strong person to not become personally offended or let down, or to think maybe you're just not in tune with the lodge. I mean, I feel like I would feel terrible, and I have, in the past planned events when they were sparsely attended, when the brothers, we would take a poll in lodge. How many of you who can be here for this? Everybody's hand goes up. The day of, it's a bunch of, oh, I forgot I have this, or, oh, I'm at this soccer game, or a no call, no show. And you see later on they're on Facebook posting about some other goofy thing that they're doing. And I always just went, it was
I had drill that night for KT.
Yeah, it was always so difficult for me to learn this lesson of don't look for yourself in others.
Yeah.
And because I always felt as the master of the lodge, when I tried to plan something and it didn't go the way I wanted it to, or the attendance wasn't there, man, did I just beat myself up that first year around. Did you find yourself doing the same thing, Darin? Or did you sort of just chalk it up to whatever, and let it roll off?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I during the time wrote a lot of articles around that same topic. And I think actually in kind of under when I'm dissecting the mission statement in step 4, where I'm talking about how I wanted to make St. Joe a better place, a place for the brothers and their families to spend time, to make it a better asset to the community, place where the men in the community want to join. I wanted to educate the brethren with traditional education, also, teach maybe some esoterics as well. And then I wanted to do some some fundraising, not that we needed the funds because we had renters, but just basically is more to have some fun and maybe, you know, spotlight the lodge through some fundraising effort. And I talk about, you know, the broad statement of I want to make St. Joseph Lodge a better place. And so, you know, what is a lodge? You know, it's twofold. The lodge is the building, and then also more importantly, the lodge is the people to make up the lodge. That's really what the lodge is. The lodge building.
Technically, the lodge is a set collection of brothers who are empowered
Right.
to work through a charter.
Yeah. So,
But the building gets in the way.
You are technically correct.
right.
That's kind of correct.
That's my man.
So I say,
Yeah, I mean, this is a good point where, you know, I'd rather have 0 people raise their hands to volunteer than have 10
Yes.
and they flake out. Oh, I
Yeah.
got something going on. I'm busy washing my hair. Right? Gotta catch
absolutely,
Stranger Things on
absolutely,
Netflix. Yeah.
absolutely. And I talk about, and probably not this article, but I've written a few articles I remember when I was master at this time about that very topic where, you know, we're talking about events and I talk about, you know, the event and we'd vote on the event and guys would say, yeah, that sounds great. And everybody would vote for it. And then when the rubber hits the road, to Tarjay's point, you get maybe 2-3 guys show up. And so, you know, we did, one of the things I did do is we did a trunk or treat where basically we did it was more of like an exchange. I asked community members to bring food or other things for our food pantry. And, you know, we basically exchanged those for candy. And so that was a good success. We had enough people to help out with that. We did a chili dinner with some of the neighboring lodges, and that was a good event. We rented out a lovely building at Homer Lake, which is a nature preserve that is near St. Joe, and it was a nice event. We had a good turnout there. I tried some community nights, which did not have any success. I didn't get either. I did not have many members, nor did I have any community show up, which I'm thankful for, because had we had a massive turnout of community and not a lot of members, I don't think that we would have had any members, any community people want to join, because they would have came and saw 2 guys there and thought, oh, this is the lodge, right? You know, it just would not have been a good reflection upon us to have 2 guys there, and it just from a public
PR perspective,
PR perspective, it just would not have looked good. So,
so Darin,
an interesting. Oh, go ahead,
Darin.
Jason.
Like, through any of this, did you ever think that maybe you were kind of casting unrealistic expectations on the lodge? If you're just struggling to open, you know, I know that, you know, the lodge members can say, yeah, this is a good idea, but if you're struggling for the minimum, what was your thought process behind, oh, and let's do this and this and this and this?
You know, that's a great question, Jason. The way I thought about it was this: like, I didn't want to just roll over and die, you know, and I felt like I had to keep trying things, because if we just rolled over and died, and I'll talk about kind of where we're at situationally next episode, just to give guys a perspective, because I think everything I'm talking about here just kind of snowballed. So, but we'll can that, and we'll save that for the next episode. But so yeah, to your point, absolutely, I kind of was like, yeah, probably not going to work. Probably not going to have many people show up, if any. But I felt like I had to keep trying things, if that makes sense.
That kind of relates to a thought I had, where one of the listeners says, if you give someone who commits some a little bit of responsibility, would you think that reduces the amount of flakeouts? And in my experience, I will change that around a little bit. A leadership lesson I learned early on was that it's much easier to play to people's strengths than to make them something they're not. Right? So just thinking of an example, there was a brother in our lodge who he was just the great social guy. He would have a smile on his face and he'd shake your hand. He'd knows everybody by name. He'd say, "How was your week?" and all that, right? He was never going to be a ritualist, right? He was there to make everyone feel comfortable, right? So like that's the job that you should give that person. You shouldn't say, "Congratulations, you're our ritualist, and you have to make sure your floor work is perfect," right? No, like you've got to make sure that the responsibility that you give someone, that's your job as a leader. So when you give someone responsibility, you are giving them something that is to their merit and hopefully just a little bit, push them just a little bit more so they can be a better person and
growth edge.
By result. Yeah, exactly.
Growth
so
edge.
It's important that when we give just a little bit of responsibility, we do it prudently and deliberately. So having a plan is important, right? Right, Darin? Tell me about this mission statement.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I've just been kind of going over that. So again, tried to make the lodge a better place, tried to make it a place for the brothers and families to spend time, tried to make it an asset for community with various degrees of success, place that men in my community want to join. I did have success with that. We did get 3 petitions while I was Worshipful Master, so I was able to get, we did have, when I left, we had 2 fellow crafts and 1 man was getting his EA as I was leaving the East, so I consider that a success. Unfortunately, of those 3, one of them has passed. The other has been suspended for non-payment of dues. The EA that was a college student did end up getting his master's, did become a master mason, but he did graduate and he transferred his membership to his hometown, but he's still a master mason in good standing. So that's a win for me. And
I think I really like your concept of like having a clear mission statement, and it's something that Jason and I have talked about for years on the show, right? Like, what is your unique value proposition for your lodge, right? Because we're all on the level, and yet every lodge has its own culture and its own expectations and its own outputs, its own things that it does. Some that are more dinner oriented, some are more community oriented, some are more youth group oriented, right? And so if you don't explicitly write those things down, that we are a lodge that does these types of activities for this kind of community to get these kind of results, otherwise you'll just go through the motions, right? And it's mechanically something that you're going to expect to do as Worshipful Master. You have to have so many stated meetings per year, et cetera, et cetera. And yet, why would they choose your lodge over any other lodge, right? So I think it's great to have a written down mission statement, even if it changes, but just to say, hey, for this year, here's what we're going to do. And that should be your North Star to guide
I'm glad you sort of qualified that as for this year, because ultimately a mission statement is something that is so difficult to get people to agree to.
Yes,
Never mind the fact that this is an organization that meets once or twice a month, probably doesn't get the attendance it needs or the input it needs to come up with a mission statement. So likely, let's just pretend for a moment that there were the 4 of us on this show, our audience here listening, and it was hey, next Wednesday we are going to gather for 1 hour and bang out a mission statement, which is to define our lodge
Right.
moving forward until such time as the next set of officers or whoever decides to
Take the
amend
reins.
this mission
Yeah,
statement. Now, I will say the four of us would definitely show up, and I think all of these people in the chat would for sure, because they're with us every Thursday, right? But when we look at the overwhelming majority of our lodge experiences, it's like the same 8 or 9 guys, and the other 90% don't show. I wonder.
I mean, you get about 10 to 13%, right?
Yeah. What was it that you found on WCY when you pull the numbers years ago?
You get 5% active, but 3% of the total is
the doers.
Your guys who are there, and you can count on them for sure. Right? We called it the 3%er.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And I made little buttons for them. And anytime I went to a lodge meeting and it was a stated night, in and around my district or even anywhere around the state, I would hand those out. And I would just say, hey, you're different because you're here. And I remember the Grand Master, I think it was, oh my God, maybe it was Dave Lynch. He said, we're not like, and this is when he was a senior Grand Warden. Lynch was at a town hall and he said something like, everybody in this room, we are not like most Masons. He's like, we're here. And that always stuck with me. And it, like, in my mind, I was like, Dave gets it, and I always thought about that. It was just such a unique thing to think about. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. Sorry.
It's like that pancake pin that some of us wear sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to. We all have the pancake pin. It's literally from IHOP. Yeah. That's such a good one. I do wear that pin occasionally.
I do as well.
But I mean, honestly, John, the reason I came up with the mission statement is because nobody in the lodge had ever came up with one, and nobody has
That's
since.
Great.
So
now it's been since time immemorial.
Since time immemorial,
And
my mission statement is the only one that has ever been written for St. Joe number 970. So
there you go.
So it's like an edict. It lives until somebody challenges it. So right now, anybody who's a member of St. Joe, just go to the next meeting and write a new mission statement and overrule the secretary. You could try. I mean, it's not going to happen. You could try.
Because we all know the secretary is the actual power behind the throne. So
easy. Don't push that narrative. I like to say that's dangerous. We're the bumpers in the bowling lane. We just keep you on. Keep you in the lane.
Right.
Do whatever you want to do.
Right. Okay. Whatever you say, RJ.
And what's the most important lesson, Darin?
Invoking the blessing of Deity before undertaking any task. I say as worshipful master, but honestly, you should just ask the great architect for his blessing anytime you do anything.
Yeah,
major,
like why does that
or
matter?
Minor?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Personally,
and I'll just answer because I think your relationship with the great architect is a personal matter. It matters for me personally because, first of all, I usually when I invoke the blessing, first of all, I thank him, her. I don't think of the great architect as having gender, so. I think I don't want to say it, but
both male and female are required.
Oh yes, exactly. You're absolutely right, Jason. So
God's a rebus.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree with you 100%. Uh-oh. I just made
As you were saying.
I just made you woke. Sorry about that. Um,
Here we
Dude,
go.
I
A bunch of
pitched the
list
Trevor
cards.
Project like 5 minutes into this episode. Like,
I know you. I know you did. I
already
know you
there.
did. I
Yeah.
know you did. But
You've been outed.
anyway, I usually start by just saying, "Hey, thanks for all the blessings in my life," and I could really use your guidance. I could use, I could use some help. I could use, some strength. I could use some patience. I could use whatever I need in that moment.
You know what
That's what I
fascinates
kind of
me.
seek for.
What fascinates me about what you just said was the very first thing you said was thanks, right? Other than asking for the blessings.
Mhm.
And there's been tons of research on the impact of gratitude on how you feel, your chemical reactions in the brain, how you're perceived, what your social cues are. You're like, it's just so much there. And when you start with an aspect of gratitude, that just things will line up differently. You know, if you believe in manifestation, you believe in the secret and that kind of stuff. Like
100%.
by the mere fact of saying, "Hey, let's just chill for a minute and realize that we have a lot to be thankful for. There are positive aspects to the situation I'm in right now, right? And then build on that." Back to kind of what I was saying earlier, like build on the strengths rather than try to like fix every problem. Because if you, they say if every all you have is a hammer, then every problem's a nail. But yeah, I just find that fascinating that you started with thanks and then get into, hey, help me with this, and these are the things that I need extra strength, extra guidance for, because we need that too in our lives, and I think that's a great lesson to carry into as a leader in the lodge.
Yeah, thanks, John. I agree completely. I really try to manifest positivity in my life, and firmly believe in, I know you mentioned the secret, but I firmly believe that in essence that 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 in a way that we do manifest and can manifest positive outcomes. And I'm not talking about, I can manifest myself winning the lottery or something like that, but I think on a very, very small scale, that if you have gratitude and if you have a positive outlook, and if you surround yourself with positivity, and that you can manifest positivity for yourself and those that you love. So I really try to, keep that gratitude, and especially when I am, when I am meditating or praying, or however you want to define invoking the blessing of deity, whatever, however you define that for yourself, maintaining positivity and especially gratitude, and just looking at, Jason said it earlier about, how he has a lot of things, but he wants to kind of pay it forward, and I think that's commendable, and I think, a lot of people should look at it that way, and there's I don't remember the exact passage in the scripture, but there's a passage about, angels being in disguise, and I often think about times in my life where, I've helped somebody by giving them a ride, giving a stranger a ride somewhere, or giving somebody some money if they needed it just off the street, and just wondering, hopefully paying it forward, and hopefully helping them, and always telling them, now my expectation is that you pay this forward. That's all I ask of you. So
Awesome. All right, so we're at that time for final question. It's really just more of a wrap up, because I think I only have a final question for Darin, but I'm going to head over to Jason and RJ for their final thoughts. So, Jason, what are your final
Sign
thoughts?
up. Sign up, sign up, sign up. today for
Right
the
now.
TMR gift exchange. We're drawing names tomorrow.
We'll wait. Sign up right now.
If you are listening to this on your morning commute,
Bum, 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 bum.
we may have already drawn names. We'll see.
Sweet. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Well, thanks. Robert, final thoughts?
I think about I've had the ability to, or the opportunity, I should say, to read all three of these. I've talked to Darin for a number of years, watched him go through these stations. So I have a little bit better of a context than some of the listeners, and maybe even Joe, John, or Jason in this. And I would just say that I think Darin's exploration is a really interesting experiment in that he sort of journals before, immediately after, well, toward the end, right? He's wrapping up his year. And, I found that the 3 articles in total, in fact, about a year ago, we ran into an issue where the Lyceum, the Illinois Grand Lodge Committee on Education's monthly education magazine, was going to potentially become an independent thing under no Grand Lodge. And one of the issues that we had started to put together was a massive issue in which we called it the Worshipful Master's Guide. And I had included these 3 articles with a number of bullet points, outlining all of this. And I just think it's not only a brave thing to do, but to be able to reflect honestly about one's own experience. And so for listeners who are wrapping up, or maybe you're just going in, or maybe you're going to go in for the 5th, 6th, or 7th time, remember
Joe
that,
Martinez.
if you're a Joe Martinez, it's not about holding power, right? It's about holding responsibility for people, principles, and of course, the being a custodian of the lodge, the future of the lodge. And I think as people leave this episode, the real invitation here is not to just admire the office of Worshipful Master, but to ask themselves how they, in whatever they hold, whatever role you hold, I should say, how you can quietly lead, serve, and grow in that same spirit. Do what you can and be present and be a participant. It's not by any light means that people have elected you to the position. I know sometimes it feels that way, but it is a serious and important duty that you owe to not just the lodge. Because remember, the lodge is creating Masons who are creating individuals who become better, who go out into their communities. You're a catalyst. And so just remember that.
Ask not what your lodge can do for you. Ask what you can do for your lodge.
Easy, Quimby.
Nice. Touche. Darin, question I have for you. Now
Yes,
that
sir.
you've revisited your blog post with those 5 points, what would you add to this list? If I were to ask you to add a 6th item to the list, what would you add to the list?
It's funny you mention that, because I did add a 6th item to this particular article, and that was never give up. And basically, the point I made was, I said one of my favorite movie quotes was from Batman Begins, and it's when Alfred asks Bruce Wayne, "Why do we fall, sir?" And Alfred says, "So we can learn to pick ourselves up." And I think, going to, the theme of the Rothman Perfect Ashler, the whole idea that we are, always needing to improve ourselves in all of our endeavors. And that also means learning lessons from from everything that we do. And this was also something that I had to learn lessons from. And I went directly from the east in St. Joe to the east in Homer. So I was able to take lessons that I learned in St. Joe and apply them to my year in Homer. And they are two different lodges, two different sets of people, two different sets of personalities. But I was able to take, things that I didn't work so well at St. Joe and apply them at Homer, and they worked better. So experiences and learned lessons from those.
Experience is the name we give our mistakes.
Exactly.
Just a good summary, right, of this list. You knocked it out of the park. So then, again, thanks you for coming on, and look forward to seeing you next week as well. And so, just in conclusion, I think I was trying to see if there's a theme to this, and you were alluding to it, which is really about taking this as not, you're going to be a leader of a lodge, you have expectations, and yet also apply this to yourself. Like, you are going to grow, you're going to learn things about yourself, you're going to learn things about your lodge, and so you're going to be transformed through that experience as well. And I think that's critical to remember, that this is a journey that the lodge is going to go on and that you're going to go on, and that there's going to be things that are going to come out of that too, that you're going to learn a little bit about yourself and your abilities, and a little bit about the lodge too along the way. So I don't know, I think it's just a really cool way to take the expectations, the anxiety off, all while realizing, go with the flow, have fun, and remember why you're there. So with that, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.